Welcome back. Today we're going to fit our repaired alternators to the car. I took the belt off and the fan, the radiator fan here. Gives you a bit more room. You don't really need to, but makes life a bit easier. And then you take the plus lead, which is this one, off. You take these little bolts off here. I'll show it later on the alternator, and these two ground wires, and then you can take that thing out, and that's the excitation voltage which comes from the ECU. That's what we did with the power supply. To get the alternator out, I take that stud completely out, and then you can tilt it to the left and just move it to the front. You're going to loosen the bottom bolt, this one here, and then it's straightforward, just take it out. So let's take that out and compare the size of the two. So here we have the two next to each other. It's that distance is the same. With this can move, so when you put it in, make sure it's a bit out so you can easily slide it in. The pulley is bigger, but that doesn't matter. And as you can see on the back, they look exactly the same. It's just a bit bigger diameter. That's what it is. Get it mounted to the car and try it out. We'll have a look into this one as well, so I can show you the wear of the brushes, because it's considerably worn. I already placed them in situ in the car one time because I was a bit in a rush, so it's time to look after that. So, and while we have the whole thing apart, we look after our heater radiator or heater core. These are the two lines which go to the heater, and what happens sometimes is that this stub which comes from the water pump gets blocked. So I just use a piece of stainless rod here and make sure it's free, there's no gunk coming out, because when I changed the water pump here, this line was full of gunk. There was almost nothing flowing. So what we're going to do now, we take a garden hose and just wash that through until clear water comes out, and then we put a bit of cleaner in and do it again. I think there's just a lot of gunk, because when I got the car there was no antifreeze in it. We can still see it, it's rusty. But I ran it with antifreeze, but it's still picking up rust somewhere. Alright, let's hook up the garden hose and see what we get. So that's how we hook the hose up. Make sure it's leaking a little bit, because you shouldn't apply too much pressure on that thing. It's just, we've blown it out with air, so it was empty, and I filled it with a bit of cleaner. Just wait a little bit. I've just used some general purpose industrial cleaner. Some green stuff which is stained with water. I don't know exactly what it is, but it cleans well. So that's the other end here. Make sure you're not flooding your distributor or things like that. Yeah, we just did it while the alternator was out anyway, so makes life a bit easier. So once you got the big rust out, just flush it with water until it's fine, and then I blow it out with air as well, just to make sure there's not too much water sitting in it, so it's going to be topped up with glycol. Alright, let's wait until this is soaked in here. So while we're at, it's a good idea to look after your number one spark plug, at least on the right hand drive. Just take that bolt out and you can easily get there, because the power steering line's in the way, and it's a real pain to get that out. So once we have it apart, we looked at the spark plug and it was time to change it. because you hardly ever look at that one. The other ones are easier. The rear one might be a bit of a problem, but the front one, this number 1 plug, is just a pain. Poor design actually, but what can you do? It is as it is. Alright, let's get that back together. So everything back in place, and belt is tensioned. There's a little bit less room to the battery, but I can move that a bit to the left because I've cut that battery tray so I could fit a bit bigger battery. Yeah, everything fits. It works. We'll check that in a second. So with engine off, we got 12.6. We can also see it here. Engine off. Just over 12 volts. And it comes up to 13 and a bit. Let's check with the other one. That's 13.7, so it works. That's what we wanted. So we opened up the old one, and as expected, they are pretty worn here. See that? That's all dust here as well. Plenty of dust here as well. And I think the bearings are shot as well. See that? I don't know if that's audible. Put the camera on the, that's probably audible. The bearings are shot as well. So we're going to repair that as a backup. New bearings and a new brush block, because this one is unserviceable almost. Alright, that's it so far from the alternator. I don't need to show this one because it's exactly the same process as on the other one. It's just a bit smaller. So we do the same. All we do is we're going to push the rotor out and put a new bearing on. Alright, that's it from the alternator. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Until next time.